bitch! Who's this fat bitch stealing my... What is going on?
What's up, good people? It's your boy Beast Gamer Kuma back again, and I know it's been a while. We are here with Amazon Agent. How you doing?
I'm good.
All right. This is our Born with a Controller segment. Yes, it's been a while, but this is what I've been doing for the past couple of years, where I interview gamers, sharing their stories on how they became born with a controller, in a sense. I mean, it's a fun segment, but you get the gist of it. So, how you doing today?
I'm in total chill mode, as I said off off air. Um, but I'm good. I'm feeling good. I
Yes.
looking forward to this. I like talking about, you know, I feel like I'm an OG gamer. People don't realize it. Um, so I like talking about like the first console I've ever played, which is probably like the first console ever made. So that's how old I am. Great.
Don't
I'm
feel
just
bad.
aging
I'm there
myself.
with you. There
Just
with you.
aging
Trust me.
myself. It's okay.
Don't even feel bad because when you think how long ago when we started, it's just like, ugh, we had to turn to channel 3. Let's just put
Right.
it that
And
way.
we had that little switch in the back of the TV that you had to turn it to game
Oh
so that
Jesus
the signal
Christ!
could go through. And it was
And
like connected by some like ancient wires with like little metal hooks. And I'm like, I'm
oh my
sure I shouldn't be
God!
touching these things, but I'm gonna do it anyway with a screwdriver. Like, it's crazy. Y'all don't,
20,
you kids these days,
yeah,
you don't
no
understand.
idea.
You don't
See our
understand.
TVs back in the day, we had to smack the thing to get the. God damn it! Rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Going into it, what is your first gaming memory?
My first gaming memory is playing on an Atari 2600. My father got it somehow. I don't know where he got it from. It wasn't like, I think he like bought it secondhand or something,
Mhm.
and hooked it up to the TV, and I was just like playing Pong on it, and just like, this is so cool. Like, I was blown away by this thing, and I mean, that's where it started. And then the going to the corner store and playing Pac-Man, dropping tons of quarters every day with friends. Um, but like between that and mostly like arcade cabinets, that's where I did a lot of gaming when first exposed to it. And then eventually my cousin was the first one to get a Nintendo, and he got like the his mother got him the one with the robot.
Oh, Rob the Robot. Yes.
Yes, he had that one, and like he had all the bells and whistles. And I used to go over there every afternoon to play with him and stuff. And eventually, at some point, I got my own Nintendo system. But my cousins were spoiled, so they always got things first, even though like I was the older cousin. But
Uh-huh.
eventually, I got my own Nintendo, and then just kept going from there.
So technically speaking, were they like your player twos or you were the player two? Like, did you have
Yeah,
any
yeah,
siblings?
yeah. I mean, I had I had older siblings.
Mm-hmm.
My older brother from my mother's side, he was already like out the house, so I never saw him very
Gotcha.
much. And then I had another brother and sister from my father's side, and I would visit them occasionally. Um,
Mhm.
but I didn't see them all the time, so I was basically, my cousins were my siblings. So they were my younger siblings that I used to play with like after school and stuff. And one lived up the block, and then my other cousin, she her parents worked, so they would drop her off at like preschool in the Bronx, and my
Mhm.
grandfather would pick her up, and then we would play like after school and stuff. So yes, they were my my younger opponents when we would play games and stuff.
What's up, though? Alright, I
Yeah.
feel that. So, at what point in your gaming history did you feel that this was the game? This was the game that's gonna make me a gamer. This is what I want to put my investments in. What was that game?
Um, probably it was probably tied to Nintendo's marketing genius with the wizard. Probably Super Mario 3. Like
Yo,
that game just like it just did something like what? Like I was just like, what is this? Like I played the other ones. I never like I, mind you, like all these games that I played back in the day, like I never complete them. Like I could never finish them.
yeah,
My cousin, on the other hand, he was like a Rain Man genius when it would come to
yeah.
video games. He would just know how to figure it out so fast, and like he could beat a game in a day. And meanwhile, I'm over here struggling with the first Super Mario. But like when I got to Super Mario Brothers 3, it was amazing. Like I don't know what they did, but I just remember that one just like left a mark in me like wow, like this is like this is going to be something huge. So
That's the
that
funny part.
that
That whole
one,
movie
yeah,
was
and I mean the movie helped too.
it was like the whole movie was just an advertisement for that game because nobody knew that was coming out until the
Yeah,
Wizard came out.
that was incredible. Like because like nowadays, you can't keep a secret when it comes to a movie anymore.
Oh, hell
But
no.
I mean, back then it was amazing that they you go into the theater, you seen the commercials, but they didn't show Super Mario Brothers 3 in the trailers or anything like that. They showed the Power Glove, and you were like, "What? The Power Glove?"
It's a
You
power glove.
know,
It was
right?
shit. It was ass.
And then when they showed it on the screen, Super Mario Brothers 3, and we were like, "What?"
What?
And then to play, and then to get to play it, like,
Yo, that was wild.
yeah,
I ain't
that
gonna lie.
was that was
That was
pretty
wild.
incredible. Like,
But
but
yo,
it's hard. Like, you can't. It's hard to recreate moments like that nowadays. Like,
mm,
so I'm happy that I have a memory like that forever, because like nowadays you just can't replicate something like that
nah,
anymore, you know?
I don't think so. It's gonna be very hard unless you keep it super hush hush.
Mhm.
But would you say that's when you knew gaming was gonna be a part of your life from then on?
Yeah, for sure. Cuz after that I was like, okay, I want what's next. And I believe the next console I got after that was TurboGrafx 16.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Not many
I
people I knew had that.
Yeah, I had it and I don't have it anymore, and I'm so upset that I don't have it because I still have my original Nintendo.
Oh, that's what's up.
I still have my original NES with my original cartridges with me. I have it in my closet. But, I my at one point when, because with consoles you play them and then stop playing them after a while if you get a new one and stuff like that. But I was
Yeah.
still, I kept it. And after the TurboGrafx 16, I got a Genesis, and,
Ooh.
I wasn't playing my TurboGrafx as much, and then, like, my grandmother guilted me into sending it to family in Puerto Rico that, were less fortunate than us, and I
I
really
gotcha.
didn't wanna give it away, but I felt bad, so I was like, "Alright." So they shipped it to them, and I'm like, "I should have freaking kept that console."
You
I
know,
loved I loved my TurboGrafx 16. I thought that thing was amazing.
honestly, I kind of feel you on that because with the whole collectors and stuff like that going on right now, I would never want to sell my stuff, but just having the memories around,
Mhm.
just to
Mhm.
say I could plug it up and just be like, go back to that time.
Right,
But
right.
luckily enough, we got emulators and stuff like that can give you that
Yes.
sense.
Yes, yes, that is true. Like, if I really
But
wanted to, but I just, like,
you still want to
you
have the
know
physical.
yeah, I just even if it was just to, like, display it because a lot of people didn't I think, of course, it was, like, a little bit ahead of the curve, and
Hmm.
a lot of people didn't get it. Like, a lot of people didn't buy it, and, and then Genesis came out, and it just, like I guess the Genesis was a bit more accessible too, for some
Hmm.
reason, which was weird because Genesis was using cartridges, and the cool one of the cool features of the TurboGrafx 16 is that it was a card.
Yeah, I remember
It was a
like a little card
card.
slot.
Yeah, so, like, if you look at old cartridges, the pins and stuff is a card inside
Hmm.
the cartridge itself is just housing to hold that, but the TurboGrafx was like, "No, we just make the card, and you just slide it into a slot in the front of the TurboGrafx," and it was so cool because it was easy to, like, transport and stuff like but, yeah, so after TurboGrafx, Genesis, and then, when I got the Genesis, it was I guess I was going into high school,
Yeah.
and I at that point, for some I was going to an all-girls school, and I don't know, my some of my friends didn't really play video games like that, so I ended
Hmm.
up not following up with all the other consoles that came after it, so I didn't get a Super Nintendo, you know, uh, I didn't get a N64 till later. Someone gave it to me, but like I didn't keep up with all those other consoles like in between that. I didn't get the Sega Saturn. So when I went into college with my Genesis because I was still playing
Oh,
on my Genesis. And
so you kind of had like a little break from
yeah,
gaming in
like
a
I was
way.
I was still reading like Game Pro and stuff like that. Like I was still reading the magazines, but I
Hmm.
I kind of I guess I was kind of like a little embarrassed, because again, like I said, I went to an all-girls school. A lot of the
Yeah.
girls didn't really play video games. Some of
That's
my friends played, but like, and they would
yeah.
play with me, like if they came over, but
Yeah.
they weren't into it. So I just fell off from like asking for those consoles. I did have a Game Boy though. I did
Oh,
have a Game
that's always
Boy.
classic.
Yeah.
So would you
So and
say
I
that was the kind of sorry?
yeah, go ahead.
Would you say that was the kind of struggles that you faced during that time when you went to the all girls school that felt like being a gamer was kind of obscure or not really welcomed at the time?
Yeah, I mean, not that it wasn't welcome, but it just wasn't a thing then. Like, 90s, I was going to school 91 to 95, it's high
Hmm.
school. So it just, like I said, it was an all girls school in the Bronx, all girls Catholic school. So
Oh
it
wow.
was like everybody was just, and it was the 90s, and, I was into, my alternative rock and
Yeah.
the hip hop of then. So it was more, I was more into like, music and things like that. And a lot of the girls weren't, it wasn't technology wasn't a thing then. So I just didn't have anybody else that was into that part of me to that
Yeah.
like feed off of, you
No,
know.
I feel that.
Um
There wasn't that much connection with
like
those.
like and the internet was just starting, and I didn't have a home computer. I had like one friend that had a home computer that had AOL, and I used to like go to her house to like go on AOL and stuff like that. But like, so I didn't have like technology like that around me,
Okay.
and that wasn't a thing like it is now. So I just didn't stick with asking for like the next console or thing like that. Um
Yeah.
and then
So
that yeah, go ahead.
so when it came to you going to college, did that what flipped that script back to going back to gaming? Was
S-
it in that time frame or
Yes, so what happens is I go to college. Shout out Syracuse University. Um,
Good cues.
cues. And
Cues.
I my younger cousin, one of my cousins, she my freshman year, she wanted to visit, and I said, "That's fine, you could come up and visit." And she's like, "Oh, I got a new game system," because again, she was very spoiled. So she used to get everything, like the latest stuff. And
I love it.
and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring my PlayStation." And I said, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Yeah, bring it up." I was like, "We'll find a TV to hook it up to if we can't hook it up." Because like the lounge had TVs, and I was like, "You know what? We're gonna hook it up to the bigger TV." Because I had a little TV in my room with my
Yeah.
little Genesis, and I was like, "No, we're gonna go to the lounge and play it." And she had the first like release, the first generation PlayStation, and it was the one where so she had Ridge Racer for it.
Nice.
And I don't know a lot of people knew this, but the first generation of the PlayStation had this really cool feature where you load the game. So you would load a game, load the track, and then once the track is loaded, you can pause it, open up the lid, take out the game disc and put a CD in it, and then hit play, and the PlayStation would play the music from the CD while you're playing the track, the
That's
the the racing
badass.
track. So you would have, like, your own in-game music while you were playing Ridge Racer,
Yo, that's
and
nuts.
it was nuts. And we did it in the lounge, so then all these guys are like, "Yo," like, so then we had a crowd of people like, "Yo, I wanna play." So,
They got
like,
a PlayStation.
yo, it was crazy, it was crazy. So,
Yo, you
I mean, at the end of the race, you had to, like, switch it back so that the system could read the disc again, and then you just load another track or whatever, and then switch it out and put a new CD in and play a
yo,
different
that's
song and stuff.
wild.
Yeah, it was great. Like, I was shocked at what that system did. And
It
then
was crazy.
they changed it, like, at the next generation of it, like, after the initial run sold through, like, if you couldn't do that anymore. But he
Mhm.
did that, and, like, a whole bunch of people was like, "Oh, this is dope, this and that." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Shit, I gotta get a PlayStation."
I think that
And,
that's actually pretty cool though.
yeah.
Now continue,
And the
continue.
and then, I didn't get a PlayStation right after that, but what happened was I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to get a PlayStation. I'm gonna have to get a PlayStation." And then I was reading through, my gaming magazines because I was still paying attention. Like I was still reading, Game
Mhm.
Pro and all that. And they I read this article about this new Konami game called Silent Hill.
Oh Lord.
And I said,
Oh
"Ooh." I was like, "Wait,
Lord.
this is like a horror game?" And then prior to the sheet, my cousin had Resident Evil, and we played it. Like, I watched her play it, and we would take turns, and it was like, "Oh my god, this is scary," and stuff like that. And I was like, "Okay, this is cool." And I was like, "Oh, a new horror game, Silent Hill?" And then, I remember I watched no, I picked up a PlayStation, the official PlayStation magazine. I
Yes.
mean, back then, they used to put CD-ROMs
Mhm.
in the magazines with demos, and I got a copy with the demo of Silent Hill, and, it had, like, video files and stuff, and I remember watching. I was like, "Okay, I really have to get a PlayStation."
Like, I'm sold. It's over.
So, I remember I saved my money. And at the time, my roommate, she was working part-time at BJ's Wholesale Club up there in school, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Amy, they sell PlayStations at your store?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, so we need to use your disc. You need to use your membership because I need to go get this PlayStation."
Oh
and
my god.
and I made sure I got a PlayStation and I got Silent Hill, and I remember loading it up, and my friend Valerie came over because her boyfriend had a PlayStation. So she was into playing Tekken and stuff.
Mhm.
And she came over and I loaded Silent Hill and we were playing I was playing for an hour. And after beginning sequence, we were so freaked out. I was like, okay, we gotta play this in the daytime. And I stopped. But after that, I was hooked.
I
I
have
was
that.
hooked.
I have that.
Yes.
When you played that for the first time, and one of the days the weather went weird and it was foggy outside, did you freak out?
Oh, yeah, because that's the problem. That was the other problem too. I'm in Syracuse, and the weather up there is always terrible. So here's the thing. So, like, we're in my apartment, we had a three-bedroom apartment, big
Uh-huh.
living room, but my living room, where it was campus housing, but it was not on the main campus. It was like
Yeah.
what we call South Campus. So it was more like little apartment buildings. So
Yeah.
there was like a lot of grass, and it was a big area. So my window, living room window faced like a hill with trees.
Oh
And then,
Lord.
like, there was another apartment building off to the right, but, like, directly where we were sitting while we were playing, it's, like,
Yeah.
dark, and
Uh-huh.
there's, like, a hill, and,
Yeah.
sometimes students will be walking through the grass, and I'd hear
Uh-huh.
shit, and I'm playing this game at night, so Valerie Valerie and I are, like, completely freaking out. And we're like, "No, I gotta stop." And then, of course, if anybody is familiar with the opening sequence of
Yeah.
Silent Hill, when you're chasing your daughter and the landscape changes and these little demon monsters come at you, these little demon children come at you and they're chasing you and they're making all these
Oh,
crazy
sorry.
noises, and it's like, yeah, I had to stop. I was like,
Oh
"We gotta
my
play
god.
this in the daytime. I can't do this at night." But it was
Oh, no.
like that game, like, that was another, like, turning point game where I was like, "I've never experienced a video game have this kind of reaction to me," and then the story itself was just incredible,
Yeah.
and then, of course, the technological features of it, with the fog and, you know even though there were limitations, the way, of course, Team Konami worked around those limitations to create, like, atmosphere and
Mhm.
dread and, things that you think you see in the distance, you're not sure, and then the audio where it would, the static would start and you're like, "Oh shit, there's something near me, but I don't see," like, that game blew me away. And that's why, of course, if anybody knows me, why I'm such a big, huge Silent Hill nerd, is that game, like, totally changed everything for me in terms of the more modern gaming systems. That was the second, like, turning point for me when it came to my gaming career.
Wow. So with that being said, how do you feel versus the past versus now with the gaming industry? Do you still get that same feeling, or is it not as like awe-inspiring as it was back in the day?
Um, I think we have moments now. Um, The Last of Us, I think, was the next one after Silent Hill that has had. I would say before The Last of Us, I think God of War,
Okay.
and then but The Last of Us for sure, it it has had such an impact on a lot of people, undeniably, but for me, for sure, again, changing the narrative of how a video game can be presented.
Yeah.
Like, I I'm still like I still can't believe like that game, that series, it literally feels like I played a book. You know what I mean? Like
No, I get that.
if if someone has ever read a book that had like that really like took their mind into it and just really pulled you into that world, like this is like the more visual manifestation of that,
Yeah.
and it still has an impact on me. Like I'm I feel like I'm still emotionally broken by the second Last of Us. But like it's a fantastic, like when I say broken, I don't mean it in a bad way, but like the fact that a game has done that to me, that
Yeah.
I could still like have these reactions to it, and like that's insane. Like it's incredible,
No,
so
I
like I think
agree.
we still have moments of that, but unfortunately I feel like the industry as a whole has become too 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 focused on the bean counting and
Yeah.
the dollars and cents of it all, and it's like really uh hurting a lot of these people that make these incredible things. And I still think that people still have a hard time seeing video games as art.
Hmm.
That's the other thing about video games that I've always, because I have an artist's mind even when I was a child. I just thought that it was art. I always thought like video games were, even all the way back to Pong, where it was two sticks and a square.
Yeah.
Like, it was art, and it still is, and it's like continuously pushing the boundaries. And I still think there's still people that just don't see it that way. Like the investors, they're just investors. A lot of them don't care as long as they just make money off of it. You know what I mean? There's not enough people that actually see it as art, that want to invest in it and see it flourish. Um so it's hard now. I don't think there's too many things where it's just a lot of cookie cutter,
Hmm.
copy paste, live service, things like that. Like yes, there's those unique things that stand out, um that last, but then everybody is just trying to replicate it, and they just don't have the formula that's working for that. They think just doing the basic version of it is enough, and it's not. So, I I was thinking just this past week with the announcement of WB Games closing Monolith Studios, and
Yeah.
of course shutting down the Wonder Woman game. I know of someone in the game industry that was working on that game,
Yeah.
and not that I'm a close acquaintance, but I know them through,
Oh no, I
past
understand. I
conventions
understand.
and stuff like that. But, I knew she was working on that game, and I knew she was so excited to work on it. And I was happy for her, and I couldn't wait because, of course, I love Wonder Woman. And I was like, oh man, like this could be something amazing. And it sounded like they really were working on it. But again, the higher ups who just look at the bean counting, and that's all they care about, just didn't have the faith in it to support it anymore. And it's like, and they just shut the whole studio down, just boom. And it's like, all those people. working on that game, they love what they do. Like, you know how we love video games. They love video games. They love everything that goes into it. And it's like it's almost like an abusive relationship because you're like, "Oh wow, I'm studio and they're supporting us." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Nah, bye." And just kick you to the curb. And it's like again, you know? And
Nah,
then,
I feel you.
you wanna support it, you wanna stay in it, but it's hard to do because every time you're getting on a project, it's like, am I gonna see this through? Are they gonna just stop us in the middle of it? Are they actually gonna like let us finish this game? Are they gonna give us the support we need? Are they gonna make us crunch? Like, it's sad. It's sad that it's like keeps um going through this, and it hurts because like I said, we love the work that gets put out. It's just hurtful that, like, unfortunately, because it's so expensive, you have to rely on people's money to support
Of
it,
course.
and
Yeah.
you have to hope that they actually believe in what you're trying to do and not just looking to make money off of something, like they're treating it like a gamble, like just gambling on a
Yeah.
horse, and not actually like paying attention to the details of what's put into it, and the time and the energy and the artwork and the intelligence, that has to be put into these things. Like, it's not just, I just click a button and then I have God of War. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how a game is made. So,
Well, yeah, that's why I felt like the industry definitely lost its soul for a while into making games back in the day. Kids and
mhm.
teenagers, like we were super excited every time we heard an announcement. But
Mhm.
now, it's like you said, it's all cookie cutter. You got everything wants to be like Fortnite or everything wants to be like Call of Duty. It's no
Right.
creativity that much. It's like a small percentage of creativity
Yeah.
versus a wide mess of people that just want to microtransaction everything.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel that.
that's the thing too. Like, you can't. They can't just, like, Super Mario Brothers 3 comes out, you play it, and it's done. That's it. Next game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, just that's it. Like, there's nothing. You got that package,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Occasionally, we'll get a
Now it's
director's
like,
cut or something of that nature.
right, but even back then, like, you couldn't do that. That wasn't a thing. Like,
Yeah, well,
there was
yeah,
no
not
DLC.
oh,
You
no,
know
no,
what I
no.
mean? Like,
You had
there
to
wasn't.
buy the. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, Sonic 3 had the Sonic and Knuckles expansion
right.
where you had
But
to click on to this
right,
cartridge.
exactly. You had to get the thing and put
Yeah,
it
so
on
that
top of the
technically was
thing.
DLC.
Kinda.
And Resident
It was
Evil came out with a
physical.
director's cut for their game, so it was like,
It was a
I mean, it was
physical.
there, but it was like for the fans. Really, it was just like if you
Right.
really want to play that version, you have to
Like,
get this version.
nowadays, like, that's baked
Or
in.
download. Yeah, you could download it or whatever,
Right.
or they
Like,
do an
now
update.
it's expected that a game is gonna have a special edition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or they could just add on. That's the beauty part about it nowadays. They could just add on to it later. Like, oh, you know what? This is the director's cut part. We're just going to upgrade your system. Just going to upgrade the game for
Yeah,
that
but a lot of
for the
times
content.
that's the other thing too. Like, a lot of times it's not a free upgrade. Like,
Oh,
it's like, damn.
yeah, I know. It kind of eats at your wallet, you
Because
know.
then you go into the whole thing like, well, if you how are you charging me this if this is not the whole game? You know what I mean?
Well, let's not talk about Marvel versus Capcom and what they did in
Right.
1 year.
That's a
It's
that's a whole other thing. That's a
bananas.
whole other study. That's a whole other
Hold on,
study.
a story. That'll take a whole hour to talk about. Jesus
Right,
Christ,
right,
that
right.
was wild. But all right. So when you think about the gaming industry and everything like that, anybody in the industry like that you admire or you like inspired by?
Like, Like a person or like a
Yeah, a
studio
person,
or
like
I mean,
somebody in the like, it could be a
oh, I don't
studio, it could be a
know.
person, like, who do you like, okay, like, that's the people I like, that's who I inspired by. Keep on going. Like, they doing it right pretty much.
Um, I mean, uh,
I know it's a loaded question.
yeah, I mean,
It
it's hard for me because so the the thing
could even
about
be
me
somebody
too,
that's like let me give you an example. Like when I used to admire what's his name, Kevin Pereira back in the day, or Adam Sessler from X Play.
right, from G4 and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Probably so one thing too is because I had that long break in between of systems and playing games like from high
yeah,
school into college. I did not stick with the Nintendo um family.
yeah.
I went to Genesis, I went to Sega, and then I went to PlayStation, and then I've pretty much stuck to PlayStation. So I can't, when people are like, "Oh, Shigeru Miyamoto," I mean, yeah, he's awesome, but I'm not like I haven't stuck with his work. So I couldn't like name someone like that. You know what I mean? Cuz like if I
Understandable. Yeah,
like the only person like right now that comes two people would come to my mind is again in relation to what I've only played and experienced and had an effect by is on in the Silent Hill world, like
yeah.
Akira Yamaoka, who was the music and audio like producer for the
Did a
series
great
and stuff
job,
for the original
honestly.
series. And I mean, he's just a great musician in general.
Yes.
I mean, I've listened to just the soundtrack. Like I have all the soundtracks and I just
Mm-hmm.
listen to them just like on the regular. And I think he's done so much in terms of like how to how to really bring audio into the video game and elevate it in a way that everybody else has pretty much riffed off of and
Yeah.
learned from. Um, and using like spatial audio and 3D and like just directional like in the game, like if you hear something on your left side, you turn your character to the left, like and see what it is that's making that noise. Like that's like insane, like what he helped do with that series and how the music would relate to the scenes and the emotions and stuff like that. And then he's one person that always comes to mind. And another person I would honestly say is like Neil Druckmann from Naughty
Ooh,
Dog.
ooh.
Again, you know, like I said, if anybody has a disagreement, that's fine. But you have to remember, I'm only really been in the PlayStation ecosystem since college. So I've been following those games that have coming out of their studios, their original titles. And I would say Druckmann because again, they create The Last of Us, which is like incredible. And
Agreed.
then he he successfully works with Hollywood to create the show that ends up making people that have no idea about the game or whatever and making them feel the same way we felt playing the game. And then they're like going, wait, this was in a video game? Like they're shocked. You know what I mean? And it's yes, this is how we can tell stories,
Yeah,
and not just in print form and in movie form. Like this is where it came from, and the fact that we got to control it with our with the character and go through it with the character, but the fact that they were able, him and Craig Mazin were able to create that for an entirely new audience that
Mhm.
that didn't think like something like that could happen. Like, I think it's incredible. I think it's a credit to him and the everyone in Naughty Dog that he like had faith in his team and in the story to like say no, this, we can do this and show people like yeah, I make video games, we make video games, but we tell like stories, you know.
I
So
got you.
I would say he really like stands out for me in terms of that right now.
I bet. But before we end it, I got one final question before that. It's a bonus question actually that I like to ask
Bonus.
gamers. Bonus. You get a
Do
you
I get
get
to punch a car and destroy
uh,
it? Is
I
that
mean,
what we're
I
doing?
don't have the insurance for that,
Oh,
but
shit. Come on,
I
man.
mean well, you're talking to somebody that's violent, so you already know. But anyway, let's say you got into a board meeting.
Board
They
meeting.
gave you a
Okay.
blank check.
Whew.
You could take over any video game industry. What would
Like
it
a
be
company?
and why? Yeah, company. It could be either a development company, publisher, or somebody that makes systems and stuff like that. Whatever you want. This is your opportunity.
Mm.
What company would it be, and what would you do different?
Oh my god, that's
Yep. Yup.
crazy.
Yup. The pressure.
Oh man. A few years ago, I would have said Konami because they were trash for a long time. I'm sorry, Konami, but you guys were kakapoopoo
What
after
do you
I don't
mean
know what
were?
you did after the whole debacle with Silent
Damn,
Hills and Kojima.
Metal Gear Solid.
I don't know what happened, but they were like that girl that is throwing your clothes out the window, breaking up
Yup.
with you. Like, that's how
Yup.
they were behaving like
Scratching
that.
up your car and everything. It
Yeah,
was
like
crazy.
put it like, was it Angela Bassett? She set that car on fire. Like,
Yup.
that's what they were doing. And then after that, like, they were just destroying their IP left and right. Every single
Jesus,
including
don't
my
even get me
beloved Silent
started.
Hill, uh, like
I'm
everything.
a
They were just burning everything to the ground for some reason. I have no idea
You know what
what was
vexes me
going
though?
on.
You know what vexes me?
Mm,
They have the rights to my favorite game right now.
which is,
Bloody Roar.
oh,
And they're
I didn't
doing
know that.
nothing with it. They're
Right.
doing nothing with it.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
mad.
mean, they're doing they're doing slightly better now. Like, at least on the Silent Hill side, they're starting to redeem themselves because the Silent Hill 2 remake is
Mm-hmm.
just fantastic. I don't even know. Thank God Bloober exists because they knew exactly what to do, and I'm happy that they actually gave them freedom. Freedom to not, I mean, obviously they gave them, restrictions, like you can't get too crazy, but like they really had faith that Bloober would do the series justice
Yeah.
while making it their own. And I
Yeah.
think they've done that, and apparently they might be working on something else. We'll see. But um Konami's slowly turning around a little bit. I so I don't know if they would need my interference if I had this blank check. But definitely like a few years ago, I would have said, Konami, just give me the keys and let
Just give
me
me the
like just
keys.
kick everybody out and just
Step
bring back
aside.
everybody else. Um yeah. Gosh,
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm actually surprised
Oh,
that
you
you
know
didn't
what? You
mention.
know what?
Here it
Fuck
is.
yeah, no, fuck that. WB Games. Give me
Oh,
WB Games right now. I'm buying that whole studio. I'm buying everything up. I'm kicking all these assholes out, and we're gonna fucking fix this shit. Okay, we're gonna
Oh,
bring
they've been
back
fucking up for a
Rocksteady
while.
and say,
They've been
what do
fucking
you
up for a
want to do,
while.
Rocksteady? We're not gonna make you do a live game service. What do you want to do, Rocksteady? And then we're
It's
gonna
so
bring back
fucked.
Monolith and be like, everybody get back on that Wonder Woman game.
Yeah,
Yeah, fuck that.
yo.
I'd buy WB games.
Well, the good news is that Rocksteady is coming back, and they're going back to their roots and making a Batman Beyond game.
Hmm.
So we're
We hope.
hopeful.
We hope.
No, that's what's been talked about, but hopefully they do it right.
Yeah, and they talked about a Wonder Woman game and it happened. So who
Yeah, that was
knows?
Monolith. That was Monolith.
Right, but it's WB games, so who
This is
knows?
true.
Because the people running WB in general,
It's
because
fucking up.
the guy in charge of that whole company is just he's just been doing some really crazy stuff. Mister, I'm gonna
Especially,
change HBO to Max, which makes no
yo,
fucking sense anyway.
especially last year when he was talking about how every game moving forward is going to be live for service games.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I just buy all of WB. How about that? Give me the blank check and buy WB
I'm
Studios.
sorry, you are
How about
limited to
that
the
guy?
game industry area. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
okay, fine.
sorry.
Just WB
Sorry.
games, I guess.
She's
Fine,
like, I'm going. She's like,
Kuma.
I'm burning bridges. I'm going after all of them.
Shit.
I mean, technically, with a blank check, you could. I mean, that's the loophole. You're getting a blank
Yeah,
check.
fine. I'll stick with WB games. That'll be my
Okay.
answer
All
for
right. All right. Amazon agents. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Tanya, real talk. What would you like to say to today's future gamers?
Oh, back in my day,
There you
no,
go.
I,
Rocking chair and everything.
I mean,
Like, what
honestly,
kind of inspiration you want to give to future gamers? Or
I would
anybody
say,
creative?
I would say, you know, don't, don't just play what you like. Honest, like obviously, but give other studios a chance, especially like the smaller games, the indie games. There's so many amazing experiences coming out of the indie scene, and I feel like they really need more support. I'm so happy that like you know PlayStation really was like one of the first to really push like all these indie game publisher developers and push them on their platforms, because now Xbox does it, and Switch does it, and stuff like Nintendo does it. But like really try out and go and try those smaller games, those smaller experiences, because then you might be like, you know what? I don't need to always have 4K 120 frames as my decider as to what a good game is. You know what I mean? I think it's amazing when we do have high fidelity graphics, but sometimes everybody focuses too much on that, and they're like, "Oh, well, if this game doesn't run at 60 frames per second, I'm not playing it." And they just immediately dismiss it. Like just recently I was talking with some people, and I was saying how, I've been playing Avowed on the Xbox, and this guy's like, "Yeah, I tried it out, and I had to like it was like all this reading, and I was done with it." And I'm like what? It's like
So
it was
reading
like
is a
it's not
problem
even
for this person.
apparently like they're so busy in their day that they can't read a couple of lines of text, and not that you have to read everything in that game, because I don't read everything in that game. I just read like the important things, but it was literally about just just giving you a little bit context of the world so that you understand where you are before you start getting into the game mechanics. And it's like, like, don't be like that. Like, don't just close yourself off that if it's not flashy and it's not, an explosion or, like
Or the graphics
you're just
resolution
gonna
and all that.
right, that you're just gonna ignore it. Like, you know, sometimes some of the most simple, because even though it may look like retro graphics, it's still a hard, like, they're not working in a retro graphic system, some of these smaller games, but it's still, you can still get a great experience from it, and even
Agreed.
sometimes more. So just, give other things a chance outside of just the AAA um experience,
Yeah.
is what I would say. And I think a lot of people nowadays do that, but I would say, keep keep supporting those smaller studios, and just try something different once in a while. you know
Yes.
always try to be varied as much as you can,
These words indeed.
I guess. What's up?
Come on. Amazon agent, thank you for taking your time to chat with me.
Thank
Where
you so
can people?
much.
Hmm?
No, I said thank you so much for having me.
Of course, but where can people see your awesome stuff? I, your streams, your socials. We're gonna put them in the
Well,
description.
I I have a Twitch page. It's twitch.tv/Amazon Agent. I have not streamed on there in quite a while. I'm working on that. But
It's okay.
I'm on Threads and I'm on Blue Sky. Both of those names Amazon Agent. I have a Twitter account and I'm still calling it Twitter, but I am barely on there right now. Um for reasons I'm sure everybody can understand why.
Oh,
Um, but
I am not shy to
um,
say why because I'm on the same boat.
I'm not gonna start any shit on here, but like I
No,
said,
no
but
problem.
I am on Threads and I am on Blue Sky, so I take I keep track of like things on there as well. So find me on either one of those. Um, you can follow me. I don't know if I'll have anything wise to say, but I'll have something to say here and there.
I feel that. Thank you. And everybody else, this has been Born with a Controller. If you are interested and want to be interviewed, definitely follow my social. Yes, I'm on Twitter. I still call it Twitter as well. I'm on Threads. I'm on everything. Everything will be in the description below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see y'all next time. And as always, peace out.
If it takes forever, no